All right. Welcome to class, everybody. So I'll start class the same way. I've got a background, which is the theme of our lesson this week. Who could tell me what is the name of my background? It's a monument, a historic monument in our city. What is behind me? You can raise your hand if you got the answer. Well, it is a monument from the Civil War, so that's a good start. Related to the Civil War. So you could take a look in the assignment on Google Classroom and give me the answer right now. What is this behind me? Take your time if you don't have the answer right this moment. Take your time. Or you can describe it, but it's in the assignment for this week. You could start by telling me maybe where it is.
I do not remember the location, but it's a memorial. I
It
think
is a memorial. That's right. Vilma just put in the chat Beacon Hill. Yes, it is right. It's right across from City Hall. Or I'm sorry, not City Hall. It's right across from the State House. So, and it's in the Boston Common. Now, here's the way you can find the answer. You're on your screen at the moment. I'm going to share my screen. And let's go directly into the assignment. Here we go. And I'll make sure I bring up my. So there's the virtual Black Heritage Trail. And when I go in, I scroll down, there's the map of all the different sites. Let me blow this up. It's one of these sites. So you can just tell me the number. Which one of these sites is my background?
Number 1.
Absolutely, Yen Yen. It is number 1. So let's get the name of this site. Here it is. All right. Can anybody read the name?
Cannot see. Very small.
Okay, I'll blow it up there. Can everybody see that?
Yes, can see, teacher.
All right. So this is the Robert Gould Shaw and Massachusetts 54th Memorial. So behind me, the man on the horse is Robert Gould Shaw, and the soldiers marching, they are the Massachusetts 54th Regiment. So who can give me a little information about them from what you learned?
Teacher?
Yes, Rosario.
No, I didn't understand your question.
Who can tell me a little bit about these people in the statue behind me? So there it is. Who are these people?
This is the community of the Black people, teacher.
Yes, that's a good start. Yes. What's special about the soldiers? One of them is not Black. This guy is not Black. He's white. He's from Boston. These soldiers are all Black. Why is that particularly important in this story? Rosario, a little while ago, mentioned a war. Which war is this?
But I saw, because after Shaw and many of these men died,
Mhm.
The force. They helped. Post public. Okay, let me see where I can read the civil. Okay.
Civil War, right.
It was, I think that it was a movement here in Massachusetts that helped to, they were trying to fight against the slavery.
Yes,
So
okay.
it was like a war against, it was a movement against this, for Black people. I think they used to go to be forced to go to the war.
Mhm.
So they were fighting for this. So it was a volunteer mission. So
I'm gonna correct you in a few things. These were volunteers, the soldiers.
Yes.
And when the Civil War began, there were no Black soldiers fighting for the Union Army. And the South, the Confederacy, they were fighting to maintain slavery and separate to become a different country.
Yes.
But in 1863, something happened right here, and this will be a new vocabulary word. I think Jose might be able to, what am I underlining here?
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, that'll be a new vocab word, but I think several of you might have it. Who could tell me what that is? I'm getting some answers in the chat.
I think a rule.
Say it again, people.
Yeah, I think a rule or a law in the constitution, like something like that. Proclamation.
Yes, it's a law, exactly. And I'm gonna read what Vilma just wrote in the chat. Vilma said these were free men serving in the military. So essentially, these were African-American men volunteering to fight to end slavery. Does that make sense? So that's the story of this monument. And they came from Boston. They would eventually take a boat down to South Carolina and fight a very important battle in the city of Charleston, South Carolina. But this is not what I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to focus more on using this site. When you go, you can listen and you can also follow. You can read the transcript and you can also listen. So here we have the first site on the tour, the Shaw Memorial. The second site, the George Middleton House. The third site, the Phillips School. Most people, I think, have chosen to write about the Phillips School. I'm not sure why.
Yes.
A lot of people really were interested in the Phillips School. Then the
Yes,
John J. Smith House, Charles Street Meeting House, and it keeps going. There's a lot of important sites. The last site ends at the African Meeting House. So this is the entire tour of the Black Heritage Trail in Boston. So I'm curious, I want to hear from somebody who wants to share what they learned about one of these places on the tour. Okay, go for it. Tell me which one.
It was the number 10,
Number
African
10,
Meeting House.
African Meeting House. Excellent. There's the African Meeting House. Okay, tell us everything, Lucy.
In the 18th century,
Mhm.
18, I don't know how to pronounce like
Then the 19th century, yeah.
18, 19th century, in 1809 to be exactly.
Mhm.
And this place was a lot of things that happened. Firstly, this place was a Baptist church for African people, for the African
Mhm.
community. And then
Yes.
this church converted to a school that helped a lot with the education for African community. So they used to have lectures and education classes, but at the same time, this place was known for
Mhm.
uh, for their activities or social meetings.
Mhm.
Since the beginning, they just started to have a lot of meetings for activists to fight against the slavery.
Mhm.
And through the years, there were a lot of historic meetings or war of movements, social movements
Yes.
that helped, and this place was the host of the gathering. They said the gathering for all
Yeah.
those movements.
Excellent. Now you gave a lot of good detail. It is actually what it's most noted as being. It's the oldest surviving Black church structure in the nation. What does that mean? Oldest surviving Black church structure in the nation?
Well, it's the oldest church in Massachusetts or in the country.
Yes, but are they talking about the church itself or the building itself?
The building, the building,
Yes.
but also
Yes.
that was a church that
Right.
is still being
Right.
alive.
Yes. So there are, what that means in the wording of this is where the English, it seems like it's only a history class, but it's actually an English class. What does that sentence mean? The meeting house stands as the oldest surviving Black church structure in the nation. Does that mean it was the first Black church in the nation? No, there were more before that. What it means is that that's the original building. It means the building itself, like I'm touching the wall in my apartment. You walk in, you touch it, that's the original building from 1806. So that's why it's important to read the wording carefully. Because if you are the, let's say, Lucy, if you are walking by with your friends, maybe your friends and family visit Boston, you say, hey, let me walk you around. I'm going to show you some places I learned. And then you're giving a tour, like these guides from the National Park Service will give tours to kids in Boston. And Lucy stands there and says, this was the first Black church in America. Is she right? No, you can say, but it is the oldest standing structure of a Black church in America.
Building.
Right. So that's where the language becomes very, very important. Now I'm going to go, Lucy, you did a great job highlighting the African Meeting House. We're going to get back to that later in the class, but first I want to see who needs help with the assignment. I wrote comments on 7 assignments this morning, and I know I saw people still doing the assignments quickly, trying to finish before we got on Zoom. Don't worry, I'll get to those later. Who can tell me what the assignment is that I ask you to do? Because I think some people might be confused what it is that I want you to do.
I have to choose on you and write.
Yes, choose
Sentence.
one. Yep,
One of this.
one location,
Yes.
then take a
A screenshot.
screenshot, paste it on
Put
a,
in a Google Doc.
and then
and
write.
write a few sentences, 25 to 30 words. Describing
Beautiful.
what do you learn about it.
Exactly. Beautiful. Now, many of you did a very, very good job, but a lot of other people were stuck. Some people would send me the screenshot as one document and then the writing as another one. So I want to go over how to take a screenshot on your Chromebook. How to do that. Raise your hand if you have trouble taking the screenshot, or put up the hand raising emoji.
Teacher, I can do it in my phone. I can do it in my Chromebook.
Yes, but you didn't put it on the Google Doc.
It was not easy, teacher.
Right. Everybody can do it on their phone, but
Yeah.
the assignment is to put the photograph onto the Google Doc exactly the way I showed you in the video. Was everybody able to
But
follow
you
the
can do the
instructions?
copy paste too, teacher.
Mhm,
You can use the copy paste too, no?
mhm. Well, a lot of people are still having trouble with it. So I am going to make sure everybody understands right now. This is how you take a screenshot on your Chromebook. I showed everybody in my video, but I didn't show you the exact key to press. These are the keys you press on your Chromebook. So everybody has a Chromebook. You press Control, and then this is called the window. This particular key on the Chromebook. It's window switcher to be exact. So on your Chromebook, Control. Say it again.
At the same time, you press the two buttons?
Correct. Well, one, actually, you can hold it down together, but you just press first Control and then window switcher. Everybody can do that right now from their Chromebook. You can try it. Control and then window switcher. And you'll take
phone,
what's
with
that?
Phone? With phone or with computer?
On your Chromebook. You should be on your Chromebook now. Everybody joining from their phones should not be. The only people who are joining from their phones are people like Ronnie who are at work right now.
Thank you, teacher. I tried.
Everybody else should be on their Chromebook.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then once you take the screenshot, you can crop. Who knows what it means to crop the photo? I showed you in my video. What does it mean to crop the photograph?
Yes.
No. I'll go back to my video that I showed in Google Classroom. Here is my video. So this is what I did. So I showed everybody how to. It's weird hearing my own voice recorded, but okay. So there it is. I showed everybody how to take the photograph, and you can see I made the video with the Chromebook. Once you take the photograph, this is what you do.
Control and then the button above the 6. It looks like a camera. Boom, there's my screenshot, and then paste it to a blank Google Doc.
Okay, now I'm pasting it to the Google Doc, but then I have to crop it.
once I paste it, come on. There it is. It looks like it was a little slow. I pasted it twice. So there's my screenshot. I want to crop it. So then I'd use my cropping tool.
Okay, does everybody see what I just did in the video? Do I want to use the entire screenshot with all this? Or do I just want this? I only want the good stuff. So that's the cropping tool. So once you paste your screenshot, you go up to this. That's the cropping tool. And it takes a little bit of practice using the cropping tool. So everybody should be, who's having trouble with it, practice taking your screenshot, moving the screenshot onto the Google document, and then cropping it, which is just trimming it, cutting the edges around. That's called cropping.
Teacher,
Yes, Leonie.
could you repeat the second part? When I finished to take the screenshot, I have to go where?
Cropping. Well, once you take the screenshot, then you add the screenshot to the Google document. So take the screenshot, that's Control Window Switcher.
Yes,
and
I
then
did.
move, yeah, good. Did you move it onto the Google document?
No. I
So
just
that's the
take
next thing. That's the
one
next thing.
screenshot. That's not important. It's not the real homework.
Well, right. So when you do the homework, you've got to put the screenshot onto the Google document. And then you start to crop it. I'll play the video. I'll play the rest of this video to show you how the cropping tool looks.
And once I get this right where it is, and I'll delete the other screenshot that's not necessary. I'll give it a title.
Okay, so that's
and
after I cropped the photograph. So a lot of you did this correctly. Many of you still need some practice. So taking the screenshot on a Google Doc, taking the screenshot, moving it to the Google Doc, and then cropping it. That's just trimming the parts you don't want. That's good practice. So does anybody have any questions about the assignment? Take the screenshot, paste it on the Google Doc, and then write a little bit about what you learned. Any questions?
No, teacher, for me.
Yeah,
All
teacher.
right.
I have good morning, teacher. Good morning.
Good
everyone.
morning, Katya. Yes, you had your hand up a little while ago. Yes.
Yeah. If I have to put the question you put on the screenshot, like choose one of the location of Boston Black Heritage Trail. Do I have to?
Yeah, no,
to
you
put
don't
it
want
on
to copy the
okay.
instructions. So no. That's a good
Okay.
question. No, don't copy the instructions.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So what I'd like to do now is I would like to get a few volunteers to give a little tour. We could do this all together, or we could do it in breakout rooms. Entirely up to you. We've got 10 historic sites, and I want to see who can essentially describe some of these places the way Lucy did. Lucy did a good job describing site number 10, the African Meeting House. Who could describe another site? And it's up to you. We can do this all together, or we can do this in breakout rooms. What would you rather do?
We can do it here.
Okay, then let's do it right here.
Opinion.
All right, so we've already gotten a description of site number 10 right there, the African Meeting House. Who can describe, a lot of people really seem to like site number 3. Who wants to do site number 3, the Phillips School?
I did a Phillips School.
Teacher.
Okay. We could have a few people. How about let's start with, we'll start with Belkis and then a few more people can add. So right now you are the guide. So you're taking us on the trip. You're taking us on the tour. Okay, Belkis, we're walking. Let's all pretend we're walking right past the State House, away from the Boston Common. We're going here down Joy Street. Oh, here we're in Beacon Hill. And now we have arrived at the Phillips School. Okay. Belkis, you are our tour guide today. Thank you for taking us here. Tell us something about the Phillips School.
The Phillips School is one school that only accept white student. And later they organize a protest, and they get that the school left the discrimination, and the discrimination is coming from a lot of time.
Let's break down some of these vocabulary words. You gave us a lot of good stuff there. And I think a few people can describe. So she used some of these important words where she said they only educated white students. Yes, they originally only educated white students. That means the school was, what's this word I'm underlining here?
Segregated.
Segregated. What's that mean, segregated? And I'm kind of doing this with my hands. What is segregated?
Segregated.
Abebu, you want to take it?
Yeah, disaggregate means black people and white people not equal treat. It's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Segregated. And then she used this word, protest and petition. What's a protest and a petition?
That's
They protest, they organize protest and petition.
Well, what is it?
Movement.
What's a protest and what's a petition? Because these are vocabulary words. What do they mean?
protest is when you will feel something, you can find some group to to show your idea about decision.
It's when they feel by they get the school change.
Okay. The protest is more the action. There's different ways of protesting. It's taking some action to raise awareness about the problem.
And what's petition?
Yeah, what's a petition?
This protest, the lead protest and put by writing the idea and put all together the signature.
Leonie said writing. That's part of a petition. So is it just writing an idea makes it a petition?
A signer.
Yes. Yes. They collected signatures around the city to present it to the local government. That's a petition. Very good. Now, yeah, I think Yan, you wanted to say something else?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's try to find another one. So who has another historic site they would like to describe? Anybody? So everyone seemed to like number 3. We got a good description of number 10. Does anybody have another one that they found interesting that they want to talk about?
I have a question.
Yes, Leonie.
You know, yesterday I had trouble to do the assignment, and if I want to review all sites, I just will click on number on the map.
Yes, you just click on the map. Exactly the way I showed you. Yes.
Okay, no problem. That's my question.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. I have an idea. Oh yeah, Francisco, you want to tell us about one of these sites?
Yes, teacher, I write for this school.
Okay, you want to tell us more about the school?
Yes, it's the first school with the Black people go to. The J Smith
John House?
is Judge Smith
Mm-hmm.
is the abolition.
Yes, abolitionist. That's a good vocabulary word.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
So the Black people the meeting is in house, and the white people a student in the school. So the edification is the first, and in the Black people a student in Boston. And the daughter for the John J. Smith, Elizabeth Smith, is the first teacher, Black, in the integrate public school in Boston.
Very good. I want to underline this. That's the John J. Smith House. He did a lot. He wasn't, you mentioned the word, I'm going to write it here, abolitionist. Well, actually, no, instead of writing it, I'll underline it in the text. There it is. Who can, this is a good vocabulary word. What is an abolitionist?
Finish this one action, one decision.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Hang on a second. Let's get that vocabulary word first. Remember, the country was divided. It's a civil war that's going to happen. The way today, the country is very divided as well on different issues. If someone is an abolitionist, what was their opinion on slavery?
Is when they get the it change, teacher.
I think it's a punishment of the slavery.
I think the abolition is the down to the segregation.
Well, those are a little bit different. Abolitionists were people that wanted to make slavery what?
I think, in my opinion,
Yes, Ronnie.
abolitionist is the person. Is the person who made abolition with something or in something. For example,
Well, that's what the word means, to end something. That's correct.
end something.
That's correct.
Exactly.
So an abolitionist is a person who wanted to end slavery, make slavery illegal. Illegal.
You just make a point. Okay, okay, everything's done, everything's correct. I don't want to continue with this or with that, but it's done. It's abolished.
It's a little hard to hear you, Ronnie, but I can kind of hear what you're saying. You're describing the word to abolish as a verb. That's correct. But in this context, an abolitionist is a person who wanted to end slavery. And John J. Smith was also that person. Yeah.
It's done. Everything is done. And this, everything is done. I don't want to continue.
Well, you're describing the word, but in the context of this, someone identifying as an abolitionist, they're talking specifically about slavery. You can use the verb to abolish in the context of many things, but in this context, it's focusing on slavery.
No more
Teacher,
Yes,
I would like-
Abebu.
I think abolition meant this thing. The person he is put in the like the law. Just his formally he put in the law. People is not slave and not separate. Just here sit the restriction, not. I don't know how to explain.
Well,
Something.
you're right. Abolitionists wanted to create new laws. However, not every abolitionist wanted to end segregation.
It's like
Those are different.
Is
yes,
the
Francisco.
right? Is the right the black people? The abolition.
Well, abolitionists were people who wanted to make slavery illegal. Because remember, this was a time where slavery was legal. Buying and selling people, forcing people to work under threat of violence for no money, that was legal. And they wanted to make that illegal. So that's what it meant to be an abolitionist. So today slavery happens, but it is illegal everywhere. This is a time when forced labor was legal and an abolitionist wanted it to be illegal. To Abebu's point, not all abolitionists wanted to integration. That became a different topic. There were many people who thought slavery was wrong, but they didn't want an integrated society. So that would be, it's complicated, but interesting point. Francisco, good job. There's one interesting piece about John J. Smith that I think you forgot to mention. He was a businessman. What was his business?
Teacher, I pass always for the street and in the bacon here. I don't know an idea.
So you've walked by here many times, but you didn't know?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it fun to learn new things?
Yeah,
that's great. Now, there's one more thing about John J. Smith. He had a business. Who could tell me what his business was?
A barber shop.
Yes. The barber shop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, in African-American communities, a barber shop is traditionally a place for the community to meet and talk. So this is a very, very important, that he owned a barber shop and he was an abolitionist. So a place where people sit, meet, and talk. They're not just getting their haircut and leaving. There's a lot going on in his barber shop. So I think what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to ask any more volunteers. Does anybody have another historic site that they want to talk about?
Teacher, I read too the John Smith these four, the
Mhm.
John Smith House
Yeah.
and the 10, but I read only the
Mhm.
both of them.
Has anybody been to the Children's Museum, taken their kids to the Children's Museum? If you go to the Children's Museum, there's an exhibit called Black Boston, and they have a model to recreate John Smith's barbershop inside that. If you ever take your kids to the Children's Museum, there's a model of that there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put everyone into breakout rooms, and I would like you all to find a different site that we didn't talk about and share what you learned. So maybe less talking and more reading with this, but we talked about site number 10. We talked about site number, let's go a little closer. Yeah, we talked about, I don't think anybody talked about the Charles Street Meeting House. I don't think anybody talked about the John Coburn House. Many of these sites you can still learn more about. So when we split into breakout rooms, choose one and share what you learned together. So instead of breakout rooms, call these study groups. Practice like forming a study group, like when you go to college, you get a group of friends to go to the library to study together. So make study groups, find a new place on the tour to learn about and share information. I'll give you about 10, 15 minutes, okay? Ready? Here we go. All right, you'll see your breakout rooms. You can join, find a new location on the tour. Okay, Rosario, I think you want to click join breakout room. Let me know if you need help, Rosario.